Oh, grabbing a pen. Okay, so this is episode one. Talking about the Bible. This is not going to be any uniform manner right now. Maybe it can get into some type of schedule of what we're going to do, but as of right now, it's going to be random. Just kind of starting off. It could probably get a little bit more organized when people start asking me what they want me to talk about from my point of view. But as of right now, it's going to be what I pick. I would love for there to be more discussion about this. But I'm going to start off reading the Bible, and then I'll give my opinion. This first video might be really short because, not that I don't have a lot to talk about, it's just that there's not a lot of questions that I've received about this, so it's going to be fairly short. So I'll start off with reading. We're going to be in the book of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 1 through 16. This is Jesus talking. And the title, the version of the book I'm reading out of the Bible is the Christian Standard Bible. I can always read from different versions if you guys want me to. I can go read the King James Version if you want to hear me stutter and mess that up. So I'm gonna stutter. I'm gonna mess up. I'm not good at reading. This is my first video because it took me so long to hype myself up to do it. But let's get into it, right? So the title is The Parable of the Vineyard Workers, starting at verse 1 in chapter 20 of the book of Matthew. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the workers on 1 denarius, which was a day's wages, he sent them into the vineyard for the day. When he went out about 9 in the morning, he saw others standing in the marketplace, doing nothing. He said to them, "You also go into my vineyard, and I'll give you whatever is right." So off they went. About noon and about 3, he went out again and did the same thing. Then about 5, he went and found others standing around and said to them, "Why have you been standing here all day doing nothing?" "Because no one hired us," they said to him. "You also go into my vineyard," he told them. When the evening came, the owner of the vineyard told his foreman, "Call the workers and give them their pay, starting with the last and ending with the first." When those who were hired about 5 came, they each received 1 denarius. So when the first ones came, they assumed they would get more, but they also received a denarius each. When they received it, they began to complain to the landowner. "These last men put in 1 hour, and you made them equal to us who bore the burden of the day's work and the burning heat." He replied to them, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Didn't you agree with me on 1 denarius? Take what's yours and go. I want to give this last man the same as I gave you. Don't I have a right to do what I want with what is mine? Are you jealous because I am generous?" So the last will be first, and the first last. Okay, so if you didn't see the title was "You're No Better." And the reason I called it that, right? Because this is what I'm getting from the scripture. You guys can say you get something different. I will not complain about that. I don't think there's any wrong perspective, unless you just completely take it out of context and turn it into something it's not. There is there is a wrong interpretation, but there's many right interpretations that you could take it, is what I'll say. There is technically a wrong interpretation. But the way I took it is, right, the reward that they were getting is, it's a metaphor, of course. The reward that they were getting is getting into heaven. And what people don't understand is, right, and I think a lot of Christians can attest to this, there's this standard of, if I'm doing more good things than this guy, I'm more holy than him. And that's not how it works, right? Because then you're basing your holiness off of works, right? And we know good and well that works isn't what gets you into heaven, and comparing yourself that way is a wrong thing to do, because if we're doing it off, oh, I did more, well, technically God sees you sinned and you sinned, technically we should both be going to hell, right? That's the basis of it. But that's not how it is, because he was merciful and he saved us by grace alone, because we shouldn't have that punishment. So doing more work than somebody else doesn't mean you're more holy than them, does not mean you're better than them, right? Just because you do more doesn't mean you're better than them. We're all going to get the same reward, which is getting into heaven. Now that's not to say that you shouldn't go out and do those things because your reward's going to be the same. No, that's not how that works. Because it also says in the Bible, to not do what you know is right is also the wrong thing. So if you know something that you should be doing is the right thing and you're choosing not to do it, that's a bad thing as well. And there's a lot of people that do that because they care about their reputation more than anything. They won't go out and do something because they're afraid that, oh, I'll be an outcast if I go do this, even though I know it's the right thing to do, right? And on the flip side, you could look at it like this, right? Just because somebody became a Christian a couple years after you doesn't mean you're more holy than them. Now, you might know what to do as a Christian more than they do because they just became a Christian, right? Like it's kind of hard to it's hard to think about it that way, right? It's like if you've been playing basketball for 5 years and I started playing yesterday, I have no clue what I'm doing. Of course you're going to be better at playing basketball because you've been playing basketball. But I didn't know what I was doing wrong playing basketball until I started playing basketball. And then if I start learning what I'm doing wrong and I start getting better at it, right? We're on the same team. It doesn't matter if I've been playing 5 years or not. If you win, I win. We both get the same reward. That's how it is. It's like joining a team late in the season and you still get a championship rank. We both got the same reward. It doesn't matter if you got there before I got there. We both got the same reward. Now, that's not a great analogy because it doesn't cover it 100%. But the fact of the matter is, just because somebody gave their life to Christ later than you doesn't make you more holy than them, right? In some cases, people would say that people who have known Christ longer would be more unholy than someone who doesn't know him because they don't know what they're doing is wrong, right? And then the minute they find out, they might stop doing that stuff. While you, on the other hand, they could say, oh, well, you've been fighting the same sin for who knows how long. And that's not fair either, right? We all go through our own battles. But that's to say that just because you're doing something doesn't mean you're better than somebody else. And there's a lot of that. We often compare ourselves to other people. Well, at least I'm not going through that sin. Well, and that's the easy thing to do, right? It's easy to compare each other because, oh, my sin isn't as visible as somebody else. And I think that's our biggest problem in this world right now is we want to compare. You're like, oh, at least I'm not doing what he's doing. Sinning is sinning. It doesn't matter if you're doing what he's doing or not. In God's eye, every sin is equal. Lying is just as bad as theft, and so on. Right? He sees it all as equal. Now, he saved us from that. Right? If we give our lives to Christ and we truly repent and we try to change our ways, that's it. That's your free ticket right there. God washed your hands. You're good. You're clean. But the part we mess up is while we're here, we try to compare ourselves to people that we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to. Not to say that, oh, you shouldn't compare yourself to them because you're better than them, or don't compare yourself to them because they're on a different level. No. You shouldn't compare yourselves to them because it's not a good thing to do. You should be running your own path. You should be worrying about your own relationship with God. So I mean, I would love for you guys to give your own opinions, but I mean, that's just my opinion, right? Like, if the reward is the same, it doesn't matter how much you work. But like those one guy said, nobody asked us to work. We didn't know that there was work available. Right? We didn't know. Nobody asked us to work. How would we know to go work? How am I supposed to do right by God if I didn't know God? It's a relationship, right? And it's our duty to introduce them to it and try to guide them along the path, right? Now, they might not follow the path completely. That's their choice. That's their choice, right? Love is a choice. That's why we're given free will, so we can love freely. And I mean, that's up to us. And like I said, I would love to hear you guys' opinions on this. You might have different perspectives. I would love to hear it. And maybe ideas for the next video. Otherwise, I'm going to pick my own topic, and you're just going to hear me rant about my own opinion and nothing else. But it was good talking to you guys.